Hey guys, my name is Sue. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, I would like to talk about the difference among field group list, data type, and data reference. So if you are new to Pega and wanted to know the difference, or maybe when you are creating your case type, you often confused about what type of your field is, then you should continue watching this video. At the end of the video, you will be able to understand the difference and be able to distinguish them. So let's go ahead and start it. For a better demonstration, I am going to pick a topic. Let's do movie, since I'm still in this movie application. So first thing I wanted to do is to go ahead and create a new data object. And call it movies. Here is asking you how do you want the system connect to the database. Do you want your data to store under Pega, or you want to create it new? Today we're going to store our data in the Pega system, but if you want to integrate your data to external database, you should go ahead and watch my other videos. It talks about how you do that. But today, let's focus on our topic and create a local records. Okay, as you can see, once we connect to Pega system of record, the global unique ID, also known as PYGUID, is automatically generated. So right now we don't have to worry about it, but all you need to know is that this PYGUID is really useful. It is something that Pega provided for us as a unique identifier for later on use. Other than this PYGUID, we are going to have a movie name, and the type is text, single line. That looks good. We also need, let's say, the type of the movie. Let's also do release year and make it integer. That would make more sense, right? The last one, let's do a short description. So for short description, we probably want to make it to the text paragraph, and go ahead, save it. Under the record, we have to add some details about each movie. For example, the first one, let's do One Night in Miami. I just created 3 instances for the testing purpose, and now you can see our movie data object contains 4 properties: the name, type, release year, and a short description. Let's go ahead and save it. After we set this up, we can go to our case type. So instead of using this stage, I wanted to create a new stage. Call it stage 1, and just simply drag and drop it over here. And let's go ahead, test it out. So the first thing I wanted to test is my data object. Let's open the data objects. You can see we have movie DB and the movies. So the movies is actually what we just created. And if I just click this add button, it will automatically add to my fields. And I don't do anything, I just click submit. Let's test out what my user is going to see. Save and run. Okay, so this is my user's view. What you can see is, even though I didn't say I want a drop-down box, but it looks like Pega knows what we want, because we said, hey, we wanted to display the data, but we didn't say like the list or only one movie from out of the 3. So what Pega does is Pega gives us the choice to select one of the movies that we created before. As you can see, you clicking different movie name, it will automatically populate different information. So right now, what we learn is that if we don't do anything, we just go ahead, add the data type to the field. This is what we're going to see. The next thing I wanted to test is that if we create a field that is field group type, what are we going to see next? So in order to do that, let's go back to our case type. Let's go ahead, open my case type. Still using the first step so that we can compare. Let me add another field, calling it testing field group. And this time we're going to select field group. Change this part. Let's do movies and open. Okay, so it does copy and paste all the fields that we have for our movie data object. Let's go ahead and submit it and see what our user is going to see. Okay, let me go back to, okay, go ahead, create a new. So the first one stays the same. It's a drop-down box, and then you can select the one that you wanted. But you can see there's a big difference between the second one and the first one. The first one is just data reference, allowing you to reference data, right? Allowing you to draw the connection back to your data object. But the second one looks like it only copied the field from our data object, but it did not copy the specific instance from that data object. So we can see if we create a new field group, what our user is going to do with that field group is we're asking the user to type in the info. And that's the difference between with or without data reference. Now let's go back to our step. What if I wanted to make our field group as a data reference? How can we do that? Okay, let me create another field called field group with data reference. Still do field group, and here is a gear button. Once you click it, it will ask you, is this a data reference? If you select yes, then it's asking for select a source. First, let's try the movies. Okay, so once you click the movie, it's asking for the PYGUID. If you guys remember earlier, I was talking about what this PYGUID is used for. It's the unique identifier, like pointing to each specific movie. If you don't know any of the movie, you can just press the down arrow and it will give you 3 options because we have 3 movies there for you to select. Let's do a random one and submit. Now you can see the option, change it to read only, and there's no way you can change it because it's a data reference and you already specify a specific data you want to see. Once you click submit, okay, it's saying it's invalid. It should be property reference or concept surrounded by double quotes. What did I do? I did not make it surrounded by double quote. Okay, let's go ahead and submit it. Save and refresh this page. Okay, now you can see it is a data reference and it only pointing to this one specific movie because that's what this PYGUID is used for. So now you may think, what if I want multiple movies? You know, I don't just want one single movie. I want to see the multiple movies. What can we do? Well, that's the big difference between field group and a field group list. Field group is used to group related property together. For example, movie name, movie type, release year, short description. Those 4 different fields are related because they're controlled by one movie. Now, if you think about a field group list, it's a list of field group. With that being said, if we do a field group list, we would see, you know, movie 1 that contains this information, and another movie contains another 4 different properties, a lot more information there. So we can test it out. All we need to do is to go back to step and testing field group list. Also, the first thing I wanted to test is just as is. I don't want to do any other configuration. Let's just see what it should look like by default. Create submit and save. Let's refresh this page. Okay, so we can see here, this is our testing. We're testing this field group list. Looks like we have a list too, you know, you can add. That's good. But how come there's no information here? Like it's still blank. What I'm supposed to let my user do? My user doesn't know what movie to add, right? And the reason why it's blank is the same reason as why the testing field group is blank. It's because we didn't associate any data here. We are just copying the property name. We're not pointing the direction to the data object. So a simple fix would be go back to our configure view and make it data reference. But I just want you guys to see the difference, you know, really comparing the difference. So I'm gonna go ahead and create another field and make it field group list. But this time, let's go ahead, check this box. Select a source. Yes, we want us to see the list of movie. That's correct. And go ahead, submit it. Okay, now this is our field group list. The difference between with or without data reference, I think right now is pretty obvious. If you don't have a data reference, you are telling the user to enter information for this list. But if you make it data reference, your user will be able to view all the data that's referenced in that data object. In conclusion, if you don't know if you want to put a data reference or no data reference, you just have to ask yourself, do I want my user to type in info? Or do I want my user to view information? If you want them to type in the info, then you don't need a data reference. You can just do the field group list, or any other data type, text, integer, those kind of things will give your user an opportunity to type in whatever they wanted to type. But if you have this awesome data object and you want it to show to your user, you want them to see your info saved in Pega system, then that's the situation where you wanted to select the data reference. If data reference is the way to go, the next question would be, how do I present my data? Do I want it to create a drop-down box for my user to select only one of the movie at a time? Or do I want it to show them by default? I already select the movie for them. They can only see this one. Or you wanted to show them all the list, all the record about the movie. So depending on what situation you are in, you can configure it differently. When I first started learning Pega, and I had these questions all the time, like what type of field should I create? What's the type? I didn't know, should I use a field group? Should I do a list? Should I reference data? Or what's the deal? I tried to Google online or ask other people, but then I realized the best way to learn is not simply asking other people for the correct answer, it's actually test it out. So if you still confused about some of the concept, I would recommend you to test it out. Pega's here, it is free. You can just go to Pega Academy and go to the challenge and open an instance. So now that I've covered the difference between a field group and a field group list, and I also mentioned with or without data reference, what our user view is going to be changed. And here's a question for you guys. If I wanted to create something like this, you have a list where a user can use the drop-down box to select different movie. How do we achieve this goal? If you already know the answer, great, you can skip my next video. But if you don't know the answer, I encourage you guys to try it, to really poke around and test if you can figure out yourself. So this is it for today's video, and I will see you guys next time.